Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us on January 23rd, 2022 on research team's meeting, Sunday meeting. So I think I'd like to start our conversation with a proposal that Eduardo forwarded to us, which seems quite interesting. Eduardo, would you like to talk about it?
Sure. Thanks, Pari. So this is the organization called International Forum on Digital and Democracy. And they're from what I gather, they're a connection of different organizations. And this is the second conference that they would be holding, where they have a series of speakers, panels, rooms. I gather that this next iteration will be a kind of hybrid version with some in person, some online. It's going to be held in Rome in November 17th and 18th. One of the organizers is Patrizia, who came, and I think you all met her. Yeah.
Yes.
And she's part of the Guarini Institute, of which I'm also a part of, at John Cabot University in Rome. By the way, I'll be teaching a class this summer at John Cabot University in Rome.
What is the class about?
The class is called World Cultures, Politics, Diversity, and Tolerance. So we'll be talking about different, it's a kind of anthropology plus politics plus international relations class, which I'm very excited about. But it's my alma mater, so I'm very excited to go teach where I graduated. So
wow. And Rome is always a treat, so that's
exactly.
Yeah, I get to live there for a month, so I'm excited about that. I just heard about that news, but I'll be able to be in contact with people from the Forum on Digital Democracy, but also John Cabot Guarini Institute. Hopefully by then, some of the restrictions on COVID will be eased. I'll be able to have some networking opportunities, and maybe even organize a talk on the book. But I think perhaps it's best if I bring up some materials that they had sent us, and we can have a look together to get a better idea. So maybe, Pari, if you give me a couple of minutes, I'll come back with that material on a shared screen.
Sure.
good.
Okay.
Let me make sure you can share the screen. Just a second.
Thanks. I might need a minute or so to dig up the email that she sent with the material. So
Great.
If you want to touch on another topic, I can loop back.
Yeah, actually, I looked at that material. If that's the email that was forwarded to me, while you're finding it, I can say a few things about it. I think the areas that I liked was, first of all, their last meeting or conference was in 2020. So I think they didn't do anything in 2021, waiting to see what happens with health issues. And now 2022 is their second event. So what one of the proposals was to have some speakers ourselves who host event ourselves, and it will be kind of joined with them, which I think quite easy and doable, since we were going to have our own webinars and having our own convenings. I don't think it will be suitable for our convenings, but for our webinars, certainly easily we can do that. We can host, they want a high profile individuals, and we already have those. We were going to have panel discussion with them, so we can make those panel discussion as a co-host. One question I have, if we can make it like 3 co-hosts, like USC, us, and them, that's we can ask them. I was planning to ask them about that. So that's one area that I find interesting to do. Then, yeah, they said it's hybrid. I don't know if we have to suggest, offer papers or suggest speakers to them. Should we participate in their events? So those are the areas that needs more attention. I'm not sure to what extent this collaboration would be. Greg, do you recall anything, or you didn't see the PDF?
Oh, I saw it, but yes, and I think you've hit on the main issues.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure that they're open to whatever we propose in terms of collaborating with University of Southern California. I also had some ideas in terms of people we might want to reach out to in Europe. I think what I gathered is that we'd be a knowledge partner, and that gives us some, I guess, some space to kind of own the event, own that portion of the broader event, which allows us also to propose the topic that we want to discuss, the people we want to invite. My idea was to invite a friend from the OECD who's writing a paper on digital democracy, and he's the unit head from the open governance unit at the OECD in Paris. I think I can share now. I found
Okay.
the
You should be able to share. I hope so. Good.
Yep. All right, so this gives us, I guess, a quick overview of the numbers. I attended virtually 2 years ago or 1 year ago, whenever the first one was, 2020, and I remember being pretty impressed by not only the speakers and the attendees, but also the quality of the conversations, and also by how they were able to run it pretty smoothly from a technical standpoint. Going to academic conferences that are being held online, I can tell you something always goes wrong when academics are managing these. But I guess that they got their stuff together ahead of hand. Also, Romano Prodi gave an intervention, as did Manuel Castells, that I attended. And Manuel Castells is a very prominent sociologist, and I remember studying him in grad school, so I was very, very happy to be able to hear him speak.
I'm a fan of his as well. So
yeah, I think he's a minister now in Spain.
Is he?
Yeah. So I was very excited when they reached out and asked us to participate, and they're obviously very interested in working with the Global Technopolitics Forum. That's one of the reasons I invited Patricia to that talk, to meet all of you. Now, I think at this stage, it's probably best that we put together some kind of a proposal on how and to what extent we want to participate. For example, do we want to create our own room? Do any of us want to go there in person? I have some funds to travel, and I'd probably be happy to go. My university gives me once a semester an airplane ticket to go, and I'm very happy to go back to Rome. So
not exactly hazardous duty. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So I'd go maybe. I think maybe we have the option of having some kind of hybrid room in which some people would be in the room, and also the place where they would do it, the Ca' Foscari University's premises are very nice. So maybe we could do some kind of hybrid event, which perhaps I'd be there with maybe some other people. I don't know if any of you are free and available to travel.
I may be able to do it because I should be in Europe. So if I'm in Spain or London, it will be easy to join you. So we will closer to time, we can decide. And Greg may be able to come if he's come to Europe. So we will decide closer to time, and it will be nice if 3 of us are there and have a speaker, virtual speaker, and then we can expand on the topic or something.
Yeah, great. I know that if when we do go ahead with this as knowledge partners, one of our group would be sitting on the committee that evaluates papers. So we have that role as well.
How many papers that would be?
Yeah, that's the thing. I would imagine it might be one of those honors that ends up being a burden.
As they say, an onerous honor.
That's a good one. I would imagine that it's it might be a couple dozen papers at most. And of course, you'd probably end up reading the abstracts and the introduction mostly. But there's also some responsibility to share amongst our network and involve people to submit papers. So for example, my friend from the OECD, my idea was to like have him submit a paper, and then we'd accept that paper if it's good, and then he could be in that room as one of the co-panelists discussing that paper along with other papers. But I'm just brainstorming at this point. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, one thought for me is, remember we started some time ago this work on digital media and democracy in Africa. And maybe we should revisit that and turn that into a paper for this gathering.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that, especially as we discussed how this ties in with issues of colonialism, influence from China. There's quite a lot being written there. It's pretty cutting edge as well.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be good. I think we had a pretty decent start.
And then we stopped. And Firuze could help with that.
Yeah, she could pick up that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in terms of proposal, how many proposals could we give, Eduardo?
If I've understood this correctly, and I can get more precise information on this, we would be giving one solid proposal, and they would be accepting and acknowledging that, and then we kind of reach out to our network to have people submit papers for that session.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think on proposal, let's think a bit more and decide exactly what proposal we give. So to make sure we are focused and also expanding our brand in terms of what we are about.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great opportunity to expand the brand. We also want to make sure, and I think your expertise and advice here goes a long way on how to make sure that we're not one of the, we're one of the better rooms, that are well attended, because we want to make sure, that people know we have that we have some kind of impact when we attend. Just another idea that from the email they sent me, one of the topics that they want to discuss, and I think we can tie this in with Africa and maybe a little bit also with my research on the book, is the to what extent citizen bodies will be in the future involved in auditing AI systems, government-sponsored AI systems that impact citizens' lives. Because there's been a lot of talk about surveillance capitalism in the private sphere. So how Facebook and Google and whatnot collect data. But I think where the future is going to be increased focus on the role of governments with AI. It's how government-owned and run software is involved in making decisions on people's lives, and whether or not citizens should have any oversight on those AI systems, which connects with Africa because it's the same thing there, especially when there's a foreign government that is very much involved in managing things in those countries.
Well, China's a kind of interesting test case, right? Where they've got very elaborate government surveillance, and as far as we can tell, not too much by way of checks and balances on it.
Yeah.
It's no participation, or would you say they have participation from citizens? They're consultation, but no participation really.
In some ways, it's consultation, as you say, without real participation.
Let me pull up the exact words that she used, because I think might be interesting to think around it. Here it is. Sorry about that. All right, so the themes are how democracy can be strengthened in the era of digital technologies and how we can upgrade analog political institutions. A second theme is, and this is the one I was talking about earlier, should there be oversight on software power exerted by the public sector?
Mm-hmm.
And then the third theme is disinformation and misinformation.
Wow.
So
those are all great themes.
Yeah, I'm gonna put them in the chat here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. So the topic we choose should be within these three kind of themes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So I think if each of you come up with some topics and we can discuss it a bit further, I'm going to think about it. As I said, I like to make sure that as a brand, we kind of keep our core and then, sort of add something to it and fit it within their theme. So if we each of us come up with some topics, a specific title, I think that would help us. And then we can bring papers within that broader topic. Any comment, Greg, from you?
No, that sounds like the right way to go. Good opportunity.
And I'll get more information on exactly what it is and how we fit what we do. Because right now it's still a little nebulous for me and exactly, what role we have, what freedom to propose topics we have. So I'll meet with them and get a better idea when once we have our idea, and then I'll report back to the group what they say.
And in terms of evaluating papers, are we going to evaluate papers within our topic, or are we going to have evaluation of the broader range of topics? And if we get better idea of how many papers we're talking about, because I don't want to suddenly have hundreds of papers in front of me, that's going to be quite, huge work. But number of them, that would be fine.
I suspect you'd probably sit on a committee that would divide up the papers based on expertise and other parameters. So, and this is I'm hypothesizing, but from what I read from the emails, it sounds like say you would be the representative from our group as a knowledge partner, and then you would sit on their committee, and the committee is probably going to be maybe 20 people or maybe more or less. And then these 20 people, there would be a chair that would say, okay, Pari, you've got these 5 papers or you've got these 20 papers. And they'll be divided because of your expertise and what your panel is on. The papers would be solicited from us. Like we would ask, Greg, maybe you've got graduate students that you want to pull in or colleagues. And then they would go to, I would imagine, go to this committee that we wouldn't be evaluating just our own papers. Everybody's papers.
Everybody's, all right. Yeah, would be good to have sense of how many papers we're talking about. And yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem. There's plenty of time up to that time, and we can leave some space open to evaluate those. Yeah, it would be good if you have some more information. I will read it more carefully. And I think based on information you give us, we should write a proposal in terms of topic and also, and between us, maybe we should have bullet point of exactly what we need to do and who should do what. So we can collaborate with them. Puran, any comment from you?
I would only say the following, Pari, because if we are really looking at this kind of a platform, then how do we really try and, of course, we are agreeing to do certain things in certain ways, but how could we really also begin to think through the kind of product that we could probably eventually try and agree to sort of accomplish? In my sense, one of the things that we could probably consider right from now, while we talk to the organizers, could be really come out with maybe a project which could be a book project, for example. Given the topic or the theme that the forum could probably try to highlight and put a focus on, and given what the forum has been doing and what could be the potential theme or the topic which could be taken up, and maybe that becomes one of the pathways for the forum to be able to work on maybe a project which could be converted into a book project, conference proceedings, something which comes out, as a printed material, because in the world of academics and think tanks, it is all about branding. It is all about what we do. It is all about what comes out and what is it which we can all see and feel and, have something pretty tangible. So I would be driven by what do we really come out with right from the day one, then to think about it halfway through.
Yeah.
Good. Sounds good.
Sounds very good. That's why I meant that, to make sure it fits with our brand in general. And then, from there on, every project we have adds something to the brand. Of course, we have 3 programs, so they're all fitting within those 3 programs, which we are hoping eventually those 3 programs would be 3 projects, So that's how we are going. We have democracy, sustainability, and geopolitics. So, yeah. Any other topics that we want to discuss?
I have a quick question for you all. Is it okay if I reach out to this friend of mine that I was mentioning to submit a paper for our group? And I'll share the screen. I pulled up his LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
So I went to college with him, so we're good friends. And he's recently become the deputy head of Open and Innovative Government Division at the OECD.
Great.
And he's written a paper with this person over here, Barbara Ubaldi, who is the head of Digital Government and Data Unit at the OECD. So I think it would be, I think it would fit with our group, and also it would perhaps be an opportunity for us to further network into what the OECD is doing. But I wanted to get all of your thoughts before I reach out to him and see if he's interested or wants to submit the paper.
Eduardo, when you say for him to submit a paper, you mean paper to Global Technopolitics Forum for us, or do you mean for this collaboration with the International Forum?
For the collaboration with the International Forum on Digital Democracy. So he would submit a paper to the forum, and if accepted, he would be perhaps participating in our panel. Sure.
Sounds great. No, sounds good.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. So I'll reach out with him with some ideas. All right.
Yeah. So I think it would be good if each of us think about this project, and we're going to share it also with Puran. And if each of us come with some topics now, little bit more clarity in terms of what we want to do, and so we can pinpoint it by next week maybe. So we take a week to think about it and come up with ideas, and then by next week we know exactly what we are doing, so we can write the proposal. And also, Eduardo, if you can bring us some more information in terms of what we need to do, what they really want, etc. And I think that all helps to pull it up. And once we know we are committed and what we are doing, we can start to ask our network to submit paper or whatever else we need to do.
Sure. Yeah. And they put me in touch with one of the coordinators. Should I perhaps invite this person to one of our meetings so we all speak directly to this person, or is that not necessary?
Would be good. Yeah. I think I don't know, Greg, what you think, but I think if we have a little bit more clarity ourselves before we talk to him, so maybe in 2 weeks' time to talk to him, or maybe next week. Do you think you can do it for next week?
I have a soccer coaching commitment.
Force majeure.
Yeah, but in 2 weeks' time, I think that'll also give us enough time to back and forth amongst us and and get a better idea.
All right, that's fantastic. I think that works. All right. Anything else you want to discuss, Greg?
Well, maybe we should just say a word about convenings. Remember, our one of our main purposes from the beginning has been to have a series of convenings, put together a small group with the right set of both thought leaders and stakeholders with the idea of having not just a good conversation, but coming out with really something that is actionable, that's more concrete. That's obviously always an elusive goal, but that's what we hope to do. We've sort of generally thought that we would do the first one probably April, May timeframe in Silicon Valley. And so if you contacts or people that we should be in touch with, that's more than welcome. We've been working at reaching out to the technology companies, but any entree there would be more than welcome. The general topic, I think, should be somewhere in the area of the private sector, in some ways caught between geopolitics and national interest or national security. So we see the Googles of the world being non-national when it suits their interests, being American when they worry that they're going to be regulated, and they'll say that's only going to give a benefit to China. So that's the general area I think we should be talking about, but we obviously need to get more specific. So thoughts about people, more than welcome, and thoughts about specifying the topic also would be more than welcome to think about.
Yeah. Yep, especially Eduardo, if you know people on various aspects of technology, that would be good also.
Okay, I'll give it a thought. Thanks.
All right. Okay, so I think, is there any other topic anybody wants to discuss? No?
Maybe
Okay,
I'm sorry, just an update on the timeline of hearing back from that grant that we applied to on the Department of Defense Office of Net Assessment, I think was the name.
correct.
Yeah, we could circle back. I would have thought we'd heard by now, but so that's a good reminder to cycle back. Thank you.
Yeah. So the other thing is we may be starting our webinars, and I'm going to set a date for that. I think the first one would be about media and disinformation and information. So that probably will take place sometime in February.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So if there is nothing else to discuss, I wish everybody a wonderful week ahead, and let's circulate some emails and exchange some thoughts on the topics we discussed. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful week.
Well, great week, everybody. Take care.
You.
Dave,
Bye-bye.
thanks. Bye.
And happy birthday again, Greg.